Good morning. You guys ready to get all these gauge wheels put back on this planter so you can get it out of here? Well, that's where we're starting today. So these have to be adjusted rather specifically, let's call it. But first thing we're going to do is just get them all hanging. And we'll see if I can kind of show you. But basically there's this bolt right here. And it goes into that hole right there. So we kind of hold the wheel up there as best we can and then turn that bolt, which is very difficult to do with one hand, but you get the idea. So we'll get it started there. I'm going to do probably most all of them, then we'll come back and adjust them from there. Okay, well that did not take very long to get them all hanging up there at least. So now we just got to go through and adjust them, and then I'll kind of walk you through how we do that or what we're looking for here. All right, so I went ahead and adjusted this first gauge wheel, and you can see here what we're looking for is for this edge to be rubbing on the Truvy disc opener just a little bit. This one's maybe just a touch tight, but see how when I turn one, it turns the other one. Now, the thing to remember is that when this thing is in the ground and it's planting, that gauge wheel is not actually going to be in that spot. And what this does is it pivots up here, up, somewhere in here, and so it gets a little bit looser as it goes up, and that's about right where I want it. Like I said, just maybe a touch tight, but if it would go up and stay there and not fall back down, then it's too tight. So what we don't want is dirt to get between here. We don't want any dirt getting between our disc opener and our gauge wheel, because that'll make it fall into the trench before the seed gets in there, and we don't want that. So I'll go ahead and adjust the next one and kind of show you what the process is. But basically the first thing we got to do is tighten up this bolt. Snug but not tight. Okay. Now we kind of move it around a little bit and see where it's at. We'll turn it and see how the blades aren't quite turning. It is rubbing, but maybe off just a touch. So I take this other wrench and turn on this kind of a bushing in there. It's actually an eccentric bushing, and that moves this arm in and out on that to make that wheel closer or farther, and I'm pretty happy with that where it's at. So then we come back to our bolt and snug it up. And I'll have to look at the torque setting in the book, but I'm just making them tight for right now, and I'll come back to them if I need to. So I'm pretty happy with that one. Now, just for how this works, so these are what we call a walking gauge wheel. Obviously, there's one on both sides of the row, and these will ride on top of the dirt. And the farther up they are allowed to go, the deeper the seed will be placed. And if you can see right in here, there's a little stop, let's call it, and it kind of rotates, and so this gauge wheel arm comes up and it hits that. Now when both of them are up, obviously there's pressure on both sides, and it keeps it level and will only go so far. Now if I can show it here, you can see the depth of the blades underneath that gauge wheel, and that's how deep the seed's going to get planted. This handle right here moves that stop, and it allows the wheels, these gauge wheels, to go up or down farther, or more or less, I guess, and that controls our seed depth. So you can change this depth, just little steps, and it changes how deep the seed gets planted. We'll adjust those when we get into the field, when we start digging and seeing what our depth is, and make sure we're in the right spot. So that's how this works. One row down, 15 more to go. Okay, I've got about half the planter done. No, I have exactly half the planter done. One other couple things to note. One, I've had a couple of these where the bushing doesn't want to turn inside the arm. Got some dirt or stuff in there packed in, so I've had to take it out, and it just threads out of there, and I can clean it up and put it back together, and that has solved that. The other thing is, I'm also checking on these for how much slop is in them. So when I get one sort of tightened up here, hang on, about right there, I'm checking to see if there's any play where it wiggles on this joint This one's got just a tiny little bit. These can get worn out. The threads in there basically wear out, and then there's a lot of slop, and the wheel will pitch and tilt and not stay tight. If that gets to be the case, then we've got to replace these or get some kits to fix them. We've had to do that on our bean planter, which has the same style of row unit on it, but this corn planter, for whatever reason, hasn't worn out yet, and that's a good thing. So they're actually all been pretty tight. I haven't had any trouble with them. So we'll get this last half done. We'll get our grease gun out, and we'll be done with our corn planter. All right, so here's another one of these bushings that doesn't want to turn. So basically we get a bigger wrench and force it out. This one's pretty tight. Usually once I get it going a little bit, it breaks some dirt loose and then starts going easier. Yeah. So we'll thread that out and clean it up, and then it goes back together quite a bit easier. So here's what that bushing looks like. You can see it's just threaded, and you can see the mating threads on the inside there, so it screws in and out, which is what moves that wheel closer or farther away from the planter openers. So I cleaned up the threads a little bit, wire brushed out some of the dirt, and we'll screw it back in, go put it back on the planter. All right, I've got all these gauge wheels adjusted. Everything is good there. The last thing that we've got to do before we get this planter out of the shop is grease it. So I'm going to grab the grease gun and we'll get that done. So there's quite a few grease zerks on this planter. To start with, each one of these gauge wheels that we just adjusted has a grease zerk to lube up those threads on that bushing so that it pivots and doesn't wear stuff there. So we'll hit all of those, 2 on each row unit. On the fertilizer openers on the front here, there is a grease zerk on the front of all of those where it pivots. So we've got to do that. And then all of the wheel frames have a couple grease zerks on them that we need to hit there. There's some in the fold points in the center of the planter. There's one tucked up underneath in here where it pivots. There are some on the pivots up here of the 2-point hitch attachment points. Let's see, one right there and one down in there somewhere. There are also some on the markers. I might have to wait until we get outside to do those because we've got to put the markers down, and well, clearly it'll go right through my window if I try and do it here. Let's see, what else? Oh, there's one on the fertilizer pump drive there, and some on the wheel bearings on the tires too. You can see there's some here on the cylinder points. Oh, these hex shaft flexes here have a couple of grease zerks on them. So quite a few on the machine total, and we're gonna try and hit them all here. All right, well guys, the planter is greased, it's adjusted, it is ready to go, almost. We've got to flush the fertilizer system out yet, but like I said before, we're gonna wait until it's ready to go to the field, and we're outside to do that. Yeah, I'm done with it in here, let's put it that way. So this afternoon, we're gonna get this planter out of here and find something else to bring in. That's a good thing. But for right now, it's lunchtime. All right, I'm back from lunch. Let's get this planter out of here. Okay, gotta get it folded up. I've got the back doors open there so that it will fit through there. Should be good here. I'm gonna open the front door just so we don't roll through it. Okay, planter's folded up. We'll take it outside. I gotta move some stuff around, some tractors in the back. We're gonna put this planter right back where we got it from, in the back of the shop, because it's still February. What's today? February 20 something, 22nd maybe, I don't know. Anyway, planting is 2 months off, so I've got some other stuff we need to do with this tractor, and we don't need to leave it hooked up that long, taking up space in our barn, because it won't fit in the back of the shop hooked up. We'd have to put it in the other barn. I'm not ready to do that. So we're going to put it in the back of the shop, unhook it, and just put the tractor back in wherever we can make it fit. It's a nice and shiny day. I should have dusted the hood of the tractor off so we could take some really nice pictures with the sun shining off of that ceramic coating. Yeah, that's a good thumbnail picture for this YouTube video. Looking good. We're gonna let that sit and run there for a second while we get the other tractors out of the way. Just for good measure, we'll take a nice screenshot from this angle because that looks pretty good too. Alright, so the planter is going to go over here, which means this tractor's got to get moved out of the way. Maybe over here in front of this other one. We'll figure it out. Alright, we'll get this tractor moved out of here. Okay, now we can get our planter put right back in there. Yeah, still pretty. You guys think I'm good enough to do this one-handed? Doesn't have to be perfect, right? All right, well, that's not perfect, but close enough. Ouch. That'll work. So now we got to unhook all our hydraulic hoses and our electrical stuff, put our pads down, and unhook it. All right, that'll work. Pull the tractor head and we're gonna park it right there. Tight fit here, but we made it. Guess we had plenty of room on this side, but yeah, you're not walking through there. All right, now let's see if we can manage to get this other tractor back in here. We'll close her up. Awfully tight. I don't know if we're in or not, so we're gonna get out and look. Ooh, get some rubbing there. We could come back a little farther if we can get over. Oh no, we're golden. All right, we are good. There, I turned the steering wheel so we're not hitting anymore. All right, let's close this door up. Come on. There it goes. And we're good to go. There's a lot of dollars sitting right here, in case anyone was wondering. Okay, well, I'm gonna sweep up the floor here a little bit, clean stuff off, and we're gonna go get our next project to bring in the shop. I wasn't sure we were gonna make it. Started flashing red on me, but I got it done. So I'm gonna go park this off to the side over here and plug it in so it's ready for the next time. I suppose I should clean the bench off a little bit too. Well, that looks better. Guys ready to see what we're gonna bring in here next? It's pretty cool. Well, there it is. There's our next project. This is our 4440. So you guys actually have not seen this tractor yet. I think I'm on what, video 90 now, 91. And this is the first time we've even had this tractor since I started making these videos. My buddy here bales a lot of straw. He could use an extra tractor in the summer when he's baling and mowing hay and raking and all that good stuff. He runs 2 balers and quite an outfit here. So he borrows it, leases it from us kind of through the summer months, and then we just never got around to getting it back through the fall and winter here, and finally doing that today. So I don't think that we need to change oil on it or anything. He said he had it all serviced up, so we're gonna pull her in the shop and just give it a quick bath, clean it up a little bit, and see what else needs to be done. And this project won't take very long. All right, well, there it is, our 4440. My grandpa bought this tractor new, and I want to say it's late 70s, 78, 79 model, but I'm not 100% sure on that. We used it for years and years as well. It was our main tractor when they bought it, but I remember when I was a kid, Dad would use it for planting corn briefly. It planted beans for a long time. I don't remember it doing much tillage work because we had bigger tractors by the time I was around, but yeah, certainly has done its fair share of field work. Doesn't do a whole lot of that now, but we have used it for baling, like I said. Well, Ben uses it now, but we've used it on our farm for baling for years and years, and use it a little bit for irrigation stuff now, pulling the traveler or the hose out on that, and used to haul a lot of wagons with it. Of course, we don't use wagons much anymore either. So anyway, I am going to actually, I think I'm going to power wash this and clean it up right where it sits there right now, and then it'll be dry for us tomorrow. We can come back and work on it. All right, well, this is no prom queen, but it is green underneath all that dirty oil and dirt that was on the back here. Got her cleaned up pretty decent. I know this tractor, the paint is not in great shape. There's some rust. There's a whole lot of chips in it. It's faded. Paint's peeling. It's not great, but this is still a workhorse. Doesn't do as much as it used to, but it still gets used, so I'm not too worried about it right now. Maybe someday this one will be on the restore list. It's not right now. We are going to go through a few things and just make sure everything's in good working shape. Sweep the cab out, which really isn't too bad. But can you see this tire? This used to be a 4-rib tire. This one's kind of still a 4-rib tire, but they're significantly worn. I'm going to see if I can talk Dad into getting new front tires on there. I have weights that are supposed to be on there. They fell off a while ago. We're going to get those put back on. There are a couple of filters that didn't get changed here recently. This one, which this is actually a coolant filter. Probably not real critical, but it's on there. I have a new one. I have no idea how old that one is, so we're going to go ahead and change that. The fuel filter over here I see is from 2017. That's 3 years old. We should probably change that. And I want to check on the air filters up in here too. I don't know how old those are. So those are the kind of the things. Probably tomorrow is all we'll be working on this tractor. It won't be in here for very long, I don't think. But that is the plan for tomorrow. I guess that's all I'm going to have for today. It's almost quitting time, not quite yet. I'm going to go work on the computer. Oh, by the way, I got all my prescription maps for corn finally done. So I have seeding rate, starter rate, and nitrogen rate maps all done. And yeah, so that's a big thing out of the way. I'm glad to finally have that over with. Yeah, any other questions? Stuff, I guess, leave them in the comments below. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and I guess I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody. Look, it's leaking anyway. Time to replace it.